The first film that is shot entirely on an IMAX, the Odyssey. That's what today's video is going to be about. And as it's a new video, I'm trying a new place, trying to try new things every time. But here we go, let's dive into it. Being a Nolan fan and being a big movie buff, when the Odyssey was announced, I was ecstatic. I was like so curious to know what this film was about, and most of you know him for his practical effects and non-traditional way of screenplay, and he has some amazing filmography like the Interstellar, Inception, and the Dark Knight, and definitely these are like the go-to blockbusters. But I really love his initial films as well, like The Prestige. That's his peak. I think he can never things about like remaking it. I don't think he can make it that well. That was just perfect. And then even his first film, The Following, it had such an interesting screenplay. I think I saw it right from his first film when I was discovering his films. He is just an amazing director, and he is my most favorite director ever. And when I got to know Odyssey is going to be his next film, I was like, oh my god, this is going to be amazing. Because the only reference for me for that film when I searched online immediately was a six-headed monster and people on a boat trying to fight it. So the anticipation was peaks. I always watched Nolan films on a computer. I never really got to watch them in a theater. My first theatrical experience was Tenet during COVID. I watched it twice on the same day. That's how much I loved it, no matter the kind of mixed reception it got. And then, of course, his last film, Oppenheimer, based on a book. It was amazing. I loved the third act of the film. Like, literally for me, the movie peaks after the first nuclear test is done, and the tension and the guilt, the situation that gets created after it, it's just so amazing. And it just, after that, when I watched Oppenheimer, I called my brother and I was like, Robert Downey Jr. and Cillian Murphy are gonna win the Oscar, and they absolutely did. I was really happy because they were like just perfect in the film. They acted their like life out into the film. It was just amazing. My only reference point to the Odyssey was the six-headed monster and a man on a boat like trying to throw his spear and like fighting it. So I was like really curious how Nolan, being Nolan, would actually bring that onto the screen. So I was like really getting very like excited. I was anticipating it so much, and I was just waiting to see what he would do, how he would bring it to the screen. And if anything, one funny thing that I felt was his last movie, Oppenheimer, was based on a book, the biopic, and then even this is based on like the most historical text. So maybe if you have to guess what his next movie is gonna be, I'm pretty sure, or maybe most certainly I could say, I think we need to look at a lot of different novels to like figure out what his next is gonna be like. And as I mentioned, I really watched only very few films of Nolan on the big screen. So this was going to be my third film to watch it on the big screen. And of course, when a movie is completely shot on IMAX, I want to watch it on the best screen possible. And when I watched Oppenheimer, I watched it at PCX Hyderabad, which is like the biggest theater back home. I loved it. The sound, it was an amazing experience. So I was in the US, and here I was just looking at my options, and there was no IMAX 70mm nearby. I live in San Diego, and I was pretty much sure I'll just take a train. This was me a year ahead. I was like pretty sure I'm booking a ticket like in LA in like one of the 70mm theaters, let it be TCL Chinese theater or the big AMC one over there. And I was pretty sure I was like ready to like travel by train, go there, watch it on 70mm because I didn't want to miss it. And then later on, as the months got closer to the release, my friend mentioned that, hey, we could just drive up to Irvine. You don't have to go through LA. It's just like an hour away. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like much better. Less train on travel and more focus on the movie. And I did get tickets at Regal Spectrum at Irvine. But then I know there are only like 40 theaters in the whole world with like 70 but I found even more rarest form of watching this. It was the Dome IMAX. And oh my god, it's even more rarer. 70 there are about 40 screens. These are like maybe 25 and just about in like tens in the USA. And luckily, they were right here in San Diego. And with my friends, I was only able to like go to like one place. So I wanted to go with my friends. And that's why I just like canceled my tickets at Irvine and then booked it at the Fleet Science Center in San Diego at the Balboa Park, which had a Dome IMAX. And oh my god, I was like even more excited because first thing I wanted to watch it on a 70 Second thing, I found there is even rarer form of watching it, and it was the Dome IMAX, and I got tickets for it. But the whole experience of getting into the theater and like actually experiencing it, I had to like plan it out and actually like create like steps into which I can actually make sure I get the best seats, and this is how it went. Like at the Fleet Science Center, because it is only used for like documentaries or like IMAX screenings that are only through the Fleet Science Center, the tickets were not really like you can book the seats that you want to sit. It was nothing like that. It was like first come, first serve. On top of that, people who had the Fleet Science membership get like first access into seating. And it was like 89 bucks, and I was not ready to pay 89 bucks for it. But nevertheless, I was like, if I get good in time, I can make it. So the movie starts at 6:30 p.m. So I started from my house, got on the train, and then reached there at 5:20, which was like 1 hour early. And they mentioned the doors will open at 6 p.m. So I was like fairly 35 to 40 minutes early before the doors will even open, not even the screening of it. And I still couldn't make it to be the first person in the line. I was like the 16th person. There were 15 people in front of me. And I was just hoping I would get in there because I knew there would be another line inside. We got checked in. We stood again, waiting in line. There were still 15 people in front of me, but there were also priority pass people around another 10 people in front of her. So I was literally calculating every person before me so that to just mentally prep myself to be like, okay, these many people are there. I have to like rush in, right when I get access to it after the line is done. I have to run so that the people behind me don't get to cross me and then just get the seats. Oh my god, it was a rush. We went on the right side. It was already full. I just went on the left side in the middle section, and then we were like group of 4 people, and it was exactly 4 seats left in like the second row from the top in the middle. And I was like, oh my god. And I finally went in, sat in the middle seat, and it was the most perfect seat there was ever. I was really excited. It was really fun. And then started the screening, Fleet Science Center, and then they were like Dune 3 trailer. And oh my god, am I so excited for that movie. That is like the second most awaited movie for me personally, because Odyssey was definitely number 1 on my list this year, and number 2 is definitely Dune 3. I think the visuals were so amazing on the dome screen. I mean, I was already like, I didn't know how the experience is going to be. Then I watched the trailer and I was like, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be really great when I watched the entire movie. And I got the best screen, and I don't have to crane my neck up a lot. It started on a good note. I was lucky to get the good seats, and then the movie started. And after watching the movie, I must only say it's like definitely one of the most amazing, if not the amazing film that I watched this year. Everything was so practical. The practical effects were amazing. The action choreography was amazing. The story and the screenplay was amazing. And as I mentioned on my Instagram story right after I came from watching it, the movie was like a slow poison that seeps into your senses and just engulfs you into it. There were a lot of doubts, and before the release, a lot of inconsistencies in marketing. The cast was a bit of a misfit, and There were a lot of talk about if he can really pull it off, but damn, oh damn. Being a Nolan fan, I was getting scared. This might be the first time he might disappoint me. So I told myself only one thing. If he disappoints me this time, I think I'm gonna like take back my words as him being the greatest filmmaker in this generation. But he didn't disappoint me at all. As I said, stunning. It was just stunning. I mean, there is so much to talk about this film, so please don't take this as a review, take this as a discussion, take this as me sharing what I felt about the movie. I mean, just as how I mentioned that Oppenheimer, the real story or the crux of the story where it all goes into a conclusion mode is after the first nuclear test is done. That's when the whole drama kicks off into like 10x and the tension builds up and it ends like such on a high, like questionable note. For me, even Odyssey, right after Odysseus like realizes and pieces together all the pieces of his memory when he's on the island with the nymphs. That's when he realizes he needs to go home. That's when the entire crux of the story started getting revved up. And oh my god, when he especially goes back home, disguised as himself, and then he says these words. He'll be asked, are you going to come back with vengeance? He is like, I'm not coming back just for vengeance. I'm coming back to bring it all. Oof. I got goosebumps. And from that moment till the end, like the final scene, oh my god, I was on such a high. Like, I was fasting the whole day, so my energy was like kind of low. And because of the slow start in the movie, him setting it up, just going through it, I loved the journey. But then by the end of the movie, I was like, energized. I was like, at the end of the movie, I had so much energy in my body. I didn't eat a thing, but I was like so energized. I was like ready to jump into the sea myself. That's how he made me feel at the end of the film. That's how great it was. Sure, the movie has its like perks and some disappointments. I mean, honestly, some of the best scenes were like some of the most horrifying scenes ever. Like, oh my god, like especially the scene when all the soldiers climb up to that mountain. If you guys know what I'm speaking about, you know it. It was so practically shot, so cleverly shot. It was so horrifying. Like, I was like grossed out, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't watch this. But then again, there were a few scenes where I was like, as I mentioned, my first like image of the Odyssey was the six-headed monster, and the people on a boat fighting it. It was exactly that scene. I was like really curious how he will show it, but that was the one scene he didn't show it very well. It was a bit disappointed. It went by very quickly. I could literally say the whole scene or whatever happens before that or after that or that exact scene, it's like three plot points just combined together, just like at a fast X, It's at like a 10x speed where he just had to run through it so that he can get to the main story. I understand that. I wish he could have done it much more magnificently. I mean, that's the drawback of his practical effects, I guess. He wanted to make it feel practical, or maybe he wasn't like, I don't know, I'm just speculating here, but it could have been much more magnificent. Like the imagery that was like the first image for me, it could have been much better, but that was like a slightly disappointing note for me. But damn, there were some good scenes, good sequences. Like the entire climax was like a whole other thing. It was like a trillion goosebump high. That's what I got. The way the characters revealed themselves, the way it concluded, beautiful. But my best scene, I must say, and I'm like really, really thankful for the experience that I got at the Dome IMAX, especially for this, is right after the men leave the Sun God's Island, once the wind change and they are on their ship, and then it breaks down. Especially during that scene, there is a lot of lighting. There is a lot of like water that falls off on everyone's crew, and the ship breaks apart. that scene visually, especially when you're in like a curved screen and you are like fixated at like almost 360-degree, it really felt like I was being washed away from like with water and the storm. I don't think I will ever feel this experience with any other movie ever again. It is wrapped in like a curved screen in like 360 degrees on the Dome IMAX. That was the best experience I had in the film, especially in that theater. And I'm like so grateful that I got to experience this. When I look back into the movie, when I think back to the movie after it ended, I think I could see it in like two themes. One was trauma and guilt, the other was love. I mean, for a hopeless romantic like me, I would like go on a hot take and say that Odyssey is a love story. And you will know why when you watch like how it concludes. It really felt like a love story. It was like so nice, so well like underlyingly written, because when you start the movie it's like a lot of things happening. By the end of it you can see Odysseus' arc. But even more than that, I've heard a lot of people speak about the Odyssey, like the book and the movie. I didn't particularly read it. I am like really excited to now go and read and even understand better how Nolan actually like made it his own when he adapted into a film. But there are like a lot of different, like he made it in like a very simplified way. I heard the relationship between Penelope and Odysseus was much more about power rather than love, but in the movie it was like a love, so I would say it is a love story, at least for the film. And the other part that I was speaking about, the trauma and the guilt, because the whole movie, the way it starts, the way it leads into the way it concludes, I think it was all about like Odysseus trauma and guilt. That's what led him into taking decisions that made him lose all his crew, all his men, while he went on a voyage to go back home. Because right in the beginning of the film, Agamemnon would have been going on towards east, maybe. I might be wrong, because I remember Odysseus people going towards the west winds. So I don't know if Agamemnon went on the other way, but he didn't want to follow him because he was like guilty that he was the one who broke down Troy's walls. He's the one who broke Zeus's law, and like he made decisions that changed the world forever. And it was his guilt. It was the guilt of him being the genesis of Trojan warfare, and his mind that led to destruction. Like all the 10 years of anger being taken on Troy, that was the whole guilt he was like holding on. And that was the guilt that made him not follow on the same sail routes as all the others who came to the war. And that's what left him on this voyage. And even when he goes into the cave and he shoots Poseidon's son's eye, like hurting him, I think I was like, that was also out of guilt. The only reason he hurt him is because he was angry that his men got killed. And it was because of his multiple decisions that he was taking that he's gone through this route. And there is no way of going back. He only has to go front. And he kept on losing men. And I think that's why when he was the only guy left stranded on an island for 7 years, he stayed there eating those lotus flowers. But the moment he realized he had a wife and the Athena statue in his hand, that's when he realized he had someone to go back for, and that's how he went for. But it was like how he dealt with grief and guilt. I think that's what he dealt in Oppenheimer as well, with Oppenheimer's character. And I think Odyssey in a way was also like Odysseus' character was like dealing with a lot of trauma and guilt, and that's how he made this. So I'm like, that's how I see this film. And it was like, just thinking about it in these two ways, I just can't wait to go back and watch it again. I'm 100% sure I'm going to watch it at least one more time in the theater. Maybe not in the Fleet Science Center because they're like all booked out, but definitely maybe Dolby, because there is no 70mm here. I might go to a Dolby screen and watch it. But I'm really excited to go watch it with like all the themes and all the information that I have now to see it and understand it even more. I think Nolan films have this thing about them that every time you go watch them, you find something new. Interstellar is one film that I rewatch every year, and there is something new that I discover about it every year. In my own way, I interpret it in different ways, and I definitely am sure that Odyssey will also be the same thing. And that climax, man. I mean, ending of the film. I think just for the ending of the film, that I can always sit through the entire thing, even though it might be slow. But I'm pretty sure the second watch could be different. I might not find it slow in the beginning. It's gonna be exciting. It's been an exciting ride. Like watching this film, getting to sit on the tickets and like going through this experience has been great. And I also like one of my friends who came with me to the Fleet Science Center. She mentioned that she went to the 70 the day before, and she told me that watching it in the Dome IMAX was much better than the 70 experience, especially for this movie. So I'm like actually pretty happy. So I'm happy with the choice I made. If I get an opportunity, of course I'll watch it in the 70 again, but maybe not anytime soon. But still, I got one of the best experiences ever. I highly recommend you all to watch this film in the biggest screen possible and just get to engulf yourself in this experience. Find the best seats to just like get just dive into the world of the Odyssey that Nolan created. It's been a voyage with the film. It's been the voyage for me to find tickets, to anticipate it, to wait for it, and to finally watch it and share my thoughts about it. It's been great, and I hope you all had a great time watching the film as well. And if you're not, please go ahead and watch it. And if you did watch it, comment down below what you felt. Share your thoughts with me so that we can have a discussion. And great, I will see you in the next one with another film or another story. So later.